MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, has gone missing during a very critical moment. As I'm sure you're aware by now, MAGA Mike Johnson has shut down the House of Representatives for about 2 weeks now. And this is a very critical time, given that when Donald Trump claims he's removing sanctions against Iran, that requires congressional approval. There's a 2015 law which specifies that the only way to remove these types of sanctions is by an act of Congress. But of course, MAGA Mike Johnson knows that. That's why he's shut down the House of Representatives, so Donald Trump can reign like the failed dictator that he is. You take a look at MAGA Mike Johnson's activity over the past 48 hours. He's not in Washington, D.C., not clear if he's in his home district in Louisiana. He is posting about the UFC fight, and he's posting photos of men fighting with each other on the White House lawn with their shirts off. That's one of the things that MAGA Mike's posting. He's also posting about how the FBI foiled the 5th assassination plot against Donald Trump. They were so close to doing a drone swarm against Donald Trump, but Kash Patel saved the day. And now we need a golden ballroom when we return to Washington, D.C. to make the taxpayers pay hundreds of millions of dollars that we promised that they weren't going to pay when Donald Trump tore to shreds the East Wing of the White House unlawfully. MAGA Mike is also attacking former President Biden with conspiracies instead of doing his damn job and being in Washington, D.C. to pass a war powers resolution to strip Donald Trump of this unlawful authority that he's been using, that he does not have, to engage in this catastrophic and unlawful war, which has now also ended in surrender. MAGA Mike's like, did you know that over 450,000 migrant children went missing under former President Biden, and now 300,000 still haven't been accounted for? And we in the Trump regime are the good guys. Yeah, ICE and Border Patrol are out there trying to just help reunite the migrant children with their family. No, MAGA Mike spreading deranged and heinous conspiracies to attack former President Biden, while Donald Trump has destroyed the American economy, destroyed our standing abroad, and while Donald Trump can't even walk or talk in coherent thoughts while he's been in France for the most disastrous G7 in American history. Also, you want to see what's going on in Congress as MAGA Mike Johnson has shut down the House of Representatives. You take a look at what's going on the Senate side right now. You've got MAGA Republican Senator Kennedy from Louisiana holding up pitchforks, and he's waving around pitchforks. Folks, there's serious business that needs to be done right now. You have, as I noted, a 2015 law requiring the President of the United States to submit any Iran nuclear deal to Congress. The president may not waive Iran sanctions during a 30-day congressional review period. You see over here, period for review by Congress of nuclear agreements with Iran, subsection B, sub 2, and then another sub 2 right here. The president may not waive, suspend, reduce, provide relief from, or otherwise limit the application of statutory sanctions with respect to Iran under any provision of law, or refrain from applying any such sanctions pursuant to an agreement in subsection A. Then you go to definitions, agreement. The term agreement, it means an agreement related to the nuclear program of Iran that includes the United States, commits the United States to take action, or pursuant to which the United States commits or otherwise agrees to take action regardless of the form it takes, whether a political commitment or otherwise, and regardless of whether it is legally binding or not, including any joint comprehensive plan of action entered into or made between Iran and any other parties, and any additional materials related thereto, including annexes, appendices, codicils, side agreements, implementing materials, documents, and guidance, technical or other understandings, and any related agreements, whether entered into or not. Now, this clearly would bar and ban Donald Trump from doing what he's doing. Also, Donald Trump would be required to submit it to not just the House of Representatives, but the United States Senate. Look at Article 1, Section 8. Remember that, folks? The idea that we have a branch of government called Congress, and there's a House and a Senate. We remember that. Section 8, powers of Congress to regulate commerce with foreign nations. Yes, that includes sanctions. Now, you could potentially delegate authority to the executive branch, but as I just noted, that delegation is limited by this 2015 law that I just read to you. But MAGA Mike knew that. That's why MAGA Mike has shut down Congress and why he's MIA, and they just want us to, oh no, let's talk about Donald Trump's fifth assassination attempt, this one involving drones, and now we need to build his golden ballroom all of a sudden. Yeah, MAGA Republican senators on Capitol Hill who are pissed, and Republican senator like Bill Cassidy. Here's what he writes about the Iran deal. Reagan is rolling over in his grave. Iran's nuclear ambitions were not curbed, and they have learned that threatening the Strait of Hormuz works and will undoubtedly leverage it in the future. Now Iran gets to build brand new infrastructure under this deal. Before the war, the strait was open, Iran was being crushed by sanctions, and 13 service members were still alive. Now 13 Americans are dead. Families have paid billions at the pump. Sanctions will be lifted, and the bombing has stopped. This is the worst foreign policy blunder in decades. So what else was Donald Trump doing in the past 24 hours? Well, Donald Trump picked a guy by the name of Jay Clayton, who's the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, to become the Director of National Intelligence, the DNI. Remember, Donald Trump picked Bill Pulte, that hack who's running the mortgage agency, who's also running Fannie and Freddie, with no national intelligence experience whatsoever. Remember, Donald Trump picked him to be the acting DNI, the acting Director of National Intelligence, and Democrats and Republicans said, we're not going to have Bill Pulte in this position. The law, remember laws? They require that the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, actually have national intelligence experience. And Bill Pulte doesn't even have a security clearance, yet alone actual experience in national intelligence. Also, he's proven just to be a Trump hack, and he goes through people's like mortgage documents. And he's the guy who works with Donald Trump to like leak private information of people who Trump despises and have the DOJ go after them. That's who Bill Pulte is, right? So Democrats and Republicans then are like, we're not going to reauthorize FISA, which is Foreign Intelligence Service Act, unless and until Bill Pulte is gone and you move in Jay Clayton. And Democrats and Republicans on the Senate are like, we'll fast track Jay Clayton. And Democrats are like, we don't like Jay Clayton, but he's better than Bill Pulte. We at least trust Jay Clayton with this type of information. We don't trust Bill Pulte. So 24 hours ago, yesterday, there was supposed to be a hearing involving Jay Clayton, who's already an approved Southern District of New York prosecutor. And then Donald Trump said, nope, I'm canceling that. I want Bill Pulte to be in that position. So then Democrats and Republicans are like, all right, then we're not reauthorizing FISA. And Democrats have been very clear, we're not reauthorizing FISA. Now,
most mornings, I've got 5 minutes and a full day ahead of me. Mizzen and Main means I still walk out the door looking sharp, no ironing, no stress, no thinking about it. Mizzen and Main makes classic menswear with performance fabrics, so you can look sharp and feel great all day long without compromising. They'll quickly become the easiest clothes in your closet. Mizzen and Main actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and since then, they've been perfecting it. Mizzen and Main shirts and pants look refined, but feel like activewear. Stretchy, lightweight, moisture-wicking, wrinkle-resistant, and completely machine washable. No ironing or dry cleaning. One shirt takes you from a client call to the golf course to a night out without missing a beat. You throw it on and instantly look put together without trying. With Mizzen and Main, you look like the guy who planned the whole outfit, even when you didn't. And here's something really special. Mizzen and Main is a veteran-led organization committed to supporting those who served. They offer a year-round military discount and proudly give back to veteran organization. Now's a great time to give them a try. Those short sleeve button downs are perfect for this time of year and have become my go-to. Mizzen and Main's versatility really comes in clutch. Recently, I had a big family get-together and I needed to look my best. Fortunately, I had Mizzen and Main to help me look put together. Right now, Mizzen and Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com, promo code MeidasTouch. That's Mizzen, spelled M-I-Z-Z-E-N, and Main, M-A-I-N.com, promo code MeidasTouch for 20% off. Mizzenandmain.com, promo code MeidasTouch. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen and Main stores in select states.
When we think about FISA, we think a lot about the controversial provision, Section 702, which involves warrantless wiretaps that scoop up information on Americans if they're in communications with individuals outside of the country who the government potentially believes could have connections with terrorism. And that's such a loosey-goosey, that's a technical term, definition, that a lot of people say, well, you use that to basically wiretap and eavesdrop on Americans without warrants, and that there needs to be a warrant requirement. I tend to believe that there should be a warrant requirement personally, but the broader FISA reauthorization, 60 to 70% of the president's daily briefing comes from FISA. It comes from foreign intelligence in the president's brief. So Donald Trump is basically saying, and this just shows you he doesn't read his daily briefs. I don't care about my daily brief. Why would he? He doesn't read the daily intelligence anyway. He doesn't care about American national intelligence. Just think about how careless and reckless he is. And he's saying, nope, then don't have Jay Clayton. I'm going to have Bill Pulte be the acting DNI. And you don't have to reauthorize FISA. I really don't care. And go ahead. I don't need to see the president saying, I don't need to see the national intelligence, whatever, who cares? And I'm willing to put this guy to significantly harm America's national intelligence, because let's also be clear. Foreign countries, allies, if we really have any anymore, I doubt it, they're not going to give us intelligence knowing that Bill Pulte is going to get it. So this cripples the United States and makes us very, very vulnerable. But Donald Trump doesn't give a crap about whether we're vulnerable. This guy is, we know how much he hates America and hates Americans. That's very clear. So Donald Trump posts, the Republicans agreed with Democrats to remove the very fair and talented William Pulte. And Trump goes, so now I am going to cancel the hearing for the great Jay Clayton. And then Donald Trump says, therefore, I'm going to add a slight bit of intrigue into this. And I will only approve FISA if you add the Save America Act into it. And that's when Donald Trump uses that to attack transgender people and to have ICE and Border Patrol basically go into elections and to, suppress voting. And so so FISA will never get passed right now. And so you had in the Republican cloakroom, all hell was breaking loose. GOP senators were attacking MAGA Republican Senator Mike Lee from Utah during a closed-door lunch meeting, saying, why are you telling Donald Trump that the Save America Act can be added to FISA? Stop doing that, idiot. Senator Cornyn and Kennedy challenged Lee about his strategy and complained that Trump is being led to believe it's possible to pass this in the Senate when it's not going to pass in the Senate. So you had all of a sudden this hearing of Jay Clayton to be the DNI gets canceled. Tom Cotton, MAGA Republican senator, says, it's regrettable that the president had directed Jay Clayton not to appear at his confirmation today. We would have approved Jay Clayton. And so you have all these MAGA Republican senators saying, what the hell is even going on right now? You have MAGA Republican Senator Susan Collins saying, I'm concerned. I'm so deeply concerned. Here, play this clip.
I was surprised. I was looking forward to the hearing. I'm concerned that this slows down the renewal of FISA, which is vital to our national security.
Then you have MAGA Republican Senator Kennedy with the pitchfork. Let's play it.
No sudden movements with that.
And then the MeidasTouch Network, Scott McFarlane, our DC bureau chief, caught up with Democratic Senator Warner about what Trump just did. And here's what Senator Warner told us. Let's play it.
But unless my Republican friends are willing to kind of say, you know what, Mr. President, Bill Pulte doesn't have the national security expertise. And also, the law says if a DNI leaves, the acting becomes the number two. Mm-hmm. And there is a Trump-appointed number two who's a career intelligence professional. I didn't vote for him. It wouldn't be my choice. But at least he'd be somebody who could be trusted with the nation's secrets. And I think that the president has just decided to blow that off, ignore that. And, the trouble will be we won't know in the short term the damage. What we will know is that national security leaders that are Trump appointed are nervous about Pulte coming in. We do know that America's allies, who already were concerned that they might have leaks if they shared with this administration. I fear more of them will start to hold back intelligence, and that makes America weaker.
So you have MAGA Mike disappearing, going missing, shutting down Congress. You have hell breaking loose on the Senate side. You have absolute and total dysfunction right now. America has never been weaker. But folks, this is the golden age, we're told. This is the do you feel, how rich do you feel? The golden age, trillions and bagajillions of bazillions of dollars. No, it's Donald Trump and his regime manipulating the damn markets every damn day, screwing over the American people who just want health care, who just want a good education, who want to be able to buy a home. That's what's going on right now. While MAGA weasel, little weasel, all these MAGA weasels. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.